Hi everyone, this is Corey from Aquarium Co-op. Today I want to show you another DIY project. Today we're going to make some plants in pots, and what this is good for is if you have a tank that is a breeder tank where you don't want substrate, or you want an African cichlid tank where they're digging all the time, or South American, stuff like that. Goldfish is done a lot. But these are some tips and tricks, some different ways to do it using household items and stuff you can round up pretty easy. It's super cheap, and it actually works very well with plants. For this project, we're going to want to use easy to grow plants. We want them to be substrate feeders, so that means they get most of their nutrients out of the gravel or whatever they're planted in, as opposed to the water column. And so that means most stem plants, you can certainly grow them, but they won't be as effective as, let's say, what I picked up today, which is an Amazon sword. And then we've got some dwarf Sagittaria here. Vallisneria would be great. You know, most plants will do okay in this type of setup, but there's some that are really going to thrive, and that's going to be lots of bulb plants, swords, vowels, that type of thing. And you can do some cool tricks too. So the two containers we're going to use today are things I found around the house. So here's just a mason jar, and they come in different sizes and things like that, and they're already weighted, which is kind of nice. There's some downfalls though. If we drop this, it's going to break. There's no lid for it either, which I'll show you why you may or may not want a lid. But it is see-through, and it's not that intrusive in the aquarium, so I think it'll work out nice. Here I've got, this is like a little Tupperware, and they're the cheapy kind. This is a Betty Crocker one, and it's got the twist on top. A little bit stubbier, as you can see. And this one, what we're going to do at the top is we're going to cut a circle out, and that's going to leave you know, probably a 1-inch gap all the way around. So if a big cichlid comes by and knocks us over, all the gravel is not just instantly going to pour out. Some might come out, but you know, in a breeding tank and stuff like that, this can be very useful. This is also, you could use the same design to build a breeding box for Achilles or something like that if they're peat spawners. But yeah, so two different designs here. You'll be able to adapt something that's going to work for you, and that's the important part. We're just doing it here for the fish room, and I've got some breeding projects, and most I want to show you guys how to do it. Some things you're going to need. You're going to need some gravel. I'm using crushed coral because our water is crazy soft and low pH, so much so that I need to buffer it up a bit. So I'm going to be using crushed coral. You can use any gravel. I don't recommend a real fine sand because plants don't grow well in that, but any gravel, anything you got laying around will probably work. So then, for one of them, we're going to use root tabs. And a root tab, these ones are made by Chem, and they're basically just a ton of little nutrients packed into these little pellets. And we might have to replace these every 3 months or something like that, maybe even longer, maybe shorter, depends on the plant and how much growth we're getting and how much light we're putting on it. But we're going to put a bunch of these in one of them, and that's going to be our nutrient source. So the great thing is we put this plant in this tank, and it's kind of set it and forget it for months at a time, which that's great. We don't have to dose it with fertilizers and things like that, and not foul up any of the water. Not that fertilizers foul up the water, but we're not changing water conditions when we're trying to spawn a fish or anything like that. Or if we have a goldfish, we're doing heavy water changes, it can be very expensive to keep fertilizer in there while changing a bunch of water. Also, in another one, we're going to use soil. And this is the same as a dirted tank or something like that. This is actually 88 aqua soil. I don't really use it for anything else. I bought a bag and I don't particularly love it or hate it, but it's going to work for this. I'm just going to put it in the bottom of one of them, and you know, it's going to be the nutrient source for a while. Maybe I'll get a year out of it or something. I don't know. Well, you know, eventually I'll have to put root tabs in just like anything else, but I figure I've got it. Why not use it? Why not show you how I would use it? So we'll start with this glass jar, and I selected this one. It's a little bit taller, and what we're going to do is we're only going to fill it maybe 3/4 of the way. And that's because we're going to put the the dwarf Sagittaria in there. And what we want is so that the dwarf Sag will have a hard time jumping out, because it's going to make runners, and it propagates by runner. And if you fill it all the way to the top here, it's just going to bounce out and get real leggy around the aquarium. And if you don't have gravel in there, it's just going to look really weird. So we can keep it contained here. This will be crazy lush, and it'll be great for live bear fry or any other type of fry you're going to have. So yeah, let's go ahead and start with a little bit of gravel. So we'll go ahead and do that. Just something on the bottom there. Just like that, we're already halfway done. So we've got a little bit of gravel. Now I recommend putting in some root tabs. Now the trick with root tabs is you really don't want these to be contacting the water much. So if we just set these on top of the gravel, they're gonna make a giant mess in your aquarium. So let's go ahead and bury them down a bit. And you can put some at different levels too. You could put, so I just put 3 in there. And let's say I'm gonna put some more gravel on. So here we've got some more gravel in there, and what's nice about the clear container is these black spots are the root tabs. You can actually see when all the black's gone or they've completely dissolved, you know, oh, maybe I need some more. But we're going to put a couple more root tabs in there. I'm kind of going overkill here. You don't have to put in this many, but I really don't like to pull them back out and do more work on them. So there's 3 more. Got a bunch of gravel on my hand, hold on. Now we need to work with the pot. The plant itself, and it doesn't always have to come in a pot like this, but if you do get them in a pot, which I like because they typically running a little better, unless you're getting them from a hobbyist or something, then that's always better because it's in your local water, that type of thing. But we want to pull the pot off, so that's the first step. Then we're left with a bunch of the spongy material, which is rock wool, which is what they pack with some nutrients in there. We want to take that off as much as we can. And we're getting there. It's, lots of rock wool. And you might be able to start separating some of the plants out. And you want to kind of do this carefully a little bit. Here's one. And not all are this hard. Some are easy, like the Amazon sword will do. It'll be very easy. And, alright. You don't have to get it all off. I would say get as much as easily accessible. If there's any dead leaves, like there's a few dead leaves right here, let's go ahead and pull those off because they're just going to come off in the aquarium anyway. So we may as well do some pre-pruning here. And a lot of times what people don't know is when you're buying a plant from a store, it's been grown out of water. And so these leaves that were dying back were ones that were growing up out of water. And when you put them underwater, then they die back and the new leaves come in. So here we've got our Amazon sword. It's with an Oranda goldfish that normally has no cover in here. This tank just got set up so it's used to hiding behind the sponge filter there. But as we put some plants in, it's going to be a nice addition for him or her. And he shouldn't be able to dig in there really. I could have made the hole a little smaller, but I like the plant to expand because eventually you're going to get pretty big. And the nice thing is, let's say you needed to catch fry, or this is a breeder tank, or you just need to service it, whatever you need to do. Instead of plants not being able to be moved and things like that, you can just reach in, pull this thing right out, pour a little of the water off, and you can set it over here, and now you can clean this whole tank. And you can catch the breeder fish, you can catch babies, you can do whatever you needed, and then when you're done, you're simply just going to grab it, put it right back in. And just like that, you've got a modular plant, and it can go, if you like to move stuff around in your tanks, you can move it to a different fish tank. That works just as easily. Over here we put the one with the dwarf Sagittaria. You can see the guppies are already intrigued by it. They're going, whoa, look at this. I could spawn in there. I could leave some babies. They would survive. And you can actually see there's some babies. They're already checking it out. So they're going, hey, this is some cover. I like that. But same thing. If I needed to catch babies or select fish out of here, you just raise it up out of it. I could then do all the work I needed to do down there, catch everything, and then right back in it goes. And yeah, so that's how you can add plants to breeder tanks and goldfish tanks and African cichlids and stuff like that, anything that's digging. So if you found this video useful, go ahead and share it with any forums you're on, that type of thing. Teach your friends. Give us a like. If you have any comments or any questions, go ahead and put them down below and we'll answer them. I'll put a link down in the description to the root tabs, which are they're the CChem root tabs, and I'll put a link to like Amazon or something, so that way if you don't have a local store where you can get them, you can just buy them. yeah, so thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe because we put out videos like this at least once a week. We actually put lots of videos out, but you know, DIY, kind of here's how you're going to do this on the cheap videos about once a week. And we thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.